Today I want to talk about one of God's great gifts to us, which is the gift of friendship, and I may also say something about wristwatches as well. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Pastor Tim Westermeyer here, Senior Pastor of St. Philip the Deacon in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. Good to be with you as always. This past Sunday, I shared some information from this document, as I always do at the beginning of worship. It's something we call the Partners in the Gospel, and it's a way that we can communicate to our congregation opportunities for learning or service or fellowship or growth. And this podcast actually was lifted up. I mean, we've lifted it up periodically in the last couple of years. And I found myself obligated to say something about it because we actually inadvertently had put some wrong information about the podcast. We had the wrong URL on YouTube and also the wrong URL for our own website to access them. So if people had followed them, the ones we printed here, they would have gone to nowhere, honestly. So I was obligated to sort of correct that and say, well, here's the correct URL on YouTube and the correct URL on our website. And it prompted me to just reflect very briefly on the fact that in the 2 years of doing these podcasts, one of the really lovely byproducts is that I've gotten to interact and get to know, and even I might say become friends with some people from around the world for lots of different reasons. But one of them that I want to mention today is the result of episode 124 when I talked about one of my own particular interests, which happens to be wristwatches. And I still remember when we came in and taped that, I felt a little bit sort of embarrassed and sheepish about bringing it up. It's kind of like, well, I'm a pastor. Shouldn't I be talking about more important things than watches that you wear on your wrist? But that episode, turns out, is the most watched to date. And it has resulted in connections with people all around the world who share that interest, and again, who have become friends of mine. And so today, I just want to, lift up and celebrate the gift of friendship, and also remind us all that this whole technology thing, there are good parts and bad parts to it, but one of the really amazing and powerful parts of it is that it allows for precisely those kind of connections between people who have shared interests. So on Sunday, again, I said I've gotten to know a few people around the world. I haven't asked any of them for their permission, but I'm going to say thanks to each of them now, sort of in this episode, just because it's been really fun to get to know all of you, and I've appreciated the correspondence we've had. So Sanjay in Canada, Sanjay has actually invited me to be on his weekly podcast a couple of times. It's been great to get to know you, Sanjay. Dave, who is a American missionary now in Japan, and we may be seeing more of him down the road here, and I'll say more about that another time. But Dave, keep up the great work. Both Sanjay and Dave actually either just have had children or about to, so blessings to both of you. Torin, another friend of Sanjay's from Canada, was on the podcast with me last week, as was Bobby from Miami, so both of you, it's been good to get to know you. Miguel in Southern California. Josh is a church planter out east who specializes in Middle Eastern languages. So he and I have corresponded a bit. Alton is another pastor in Canada. And then Jody and Peter, both of them in Australia. And again, I want to say to all of you, thanks for your friendship. Thanks for being connected in various ways to me online. And I'm going to turn now to sort of wrap this up with a quote from one of my favorite theologians and authors, namely C.S. Lewis. And in his one of his pieces, he talks precisely about friendship. And I think it's worth hearing these words. Friendship arises out of mere companionship when two or more of the companions discover that they have in common some insight or interest or even taste which the others do not share, and which till that moment each believed to be his own unique treasure. And then he says, or burden. Which is why, again, I think when I did that episode about watches, I thought, no one's going to want to hear about this. This is kind of silly. This is kind of trivial. It's unimportant. But it turns out when you share that interest of yours, it has a way of bringing others who also share it into the orbit of your life, which is a beautiful thing. That was my words, not C.S. Lewis's. Back to Lewis. The typical expression of opening friendship would be something like, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one who likes something," in other words. It's when two such persons discover one another, whether with immense difficulties and semi-articulate fumblings or with what would seem to us amazing and elliptical speed, they share their vision. It is then that friendship is born. And then he says in one other place, this is an essay called The Inner Ring, he says about friendship, Aristotle placed it among the virtues. It causes perhaps half of all the happiness in the world. So today I give thanks for the gift of friendship. I give thanks for those of you who I've connected with through this. And my prayer for everyone watching this is that you will be maybe vulnerable enough to share what you love in appropriate ways so that God can place in your life others who also share that, who can become your friends. Thanks for being with me as always. Be well, stay in touch, and God bless.